Hello and welcome. My name is Chad Lee and I'm going to be talking to you today about can technology transform a classroom? I'm a teacher at a Title I school and I teach chemistry and I'm our technology person. And I began to deal with this 4 years ago when our school decided to make a change and go to one-to-one technology in the classroom. We started to make that transition and we got a lot of kickback from a lot of teachers and saying that this was not something good, was not something beneficial for the classroom. And we began to look at, could technology really transform a classroom? And I'm here to tell you today that I believe it does. Teachers have started out with chalkboards and then they went to writing with expo markers, and now we're dealing with box lights and Elmos where they can at least project from their computer or something that they've wrote on. And now we're moving into, some teachers are even lucky enough to have a smart board where they can actually write upon that board and students can write on it, and it's a lot more interactive. But what we are looking at trying to do is taking students from going from paper and pencil to actually using technology. And at Red Bank High School specifically, we have given each kid a Google Chromebook. That Google Chromebook is theirs to use for 4 years of high school and to use to see those changes occur. Now, Bill Gates says that technology is just a tool. In terms of getting the kids working together and motivating them, the teacher is still the most important aspect. And that's absolutely true. We believe that teaching is the absolute best aspect and that teachers' jobs are not going to disappear. That's not the reason behind this. That's not the reason that technology is coming into the classrooms. It's not to take over teachers' jobs. And when we first started doing this 4 years ago, we had teachers that would come up and say, "Are you trying to make me lose my job? Is this computer really going to take my job away? Like, why is this happening?" Technology is not something that is here to take away somebody's job, but is actually here to help students grow and to see them learn more than ever before. The Center for Analysis and Research tells us that more and more students are using multiple devices and using open education resources to learn. With this increased dependency on mobile devices, it's critical that institutions are ready to meet this demand. We've got to meet the demand of students where they're at. Students are using devices every single day and are walking into classrooms every single day for years with technology in their hands, with cell phones, with all of these other devices, and we've for years told them that it's not good, that they need to put these devices up, that they cannot use them, and therefore we've seen a growth in students using these devices inappropriately and not using them to the full capacity that they've actually been designed to be used. We've seen students use them in aspects that end up being criminal or end up being something that hurts them later in life. And we've got to use these devices for good. Students want to use them, and teachers have got to break out of the mode that we are not using these to saying, okay, even though I don't understand using these devices, we need to actually put them into the classroom and use them for the good. And that's what we've done at Red Bank High School with this one-to-one integration, is we've taken these devices and we've put them in the classroom and put them in the students' hands, and we've seen incredible things. So we've seen a need for technology. First off, education is not limited to classroom instruction anymore. So we see now that it used to be where students would come into a classroom, they would sit down, they would listen to a professor, then they would leave, and then that would be it. That would be their epitome of their education, is what happened inside that classroom. But now with technology, if we use it effectively, student learning goes from just inside the classroom to any time, any place. What we're faced with is students that have so many outside aspects in their life, and particularly Red Bank High School is a over 80% poverty school. Therefore, a lot of our kids have jobs outside of school, and they don't have as much time to be able to sit down and work on projects or anything that teachers assign them. Therefore, this gives them the opportunity to be able to work at their own pace and work at any time, anywhere on their assignments. The second thing is textbooks are super heavy to carry, and this migration to technology has allowed for students to have their textbooks either online or no textbooks at all. Over 4 years, I've seen students come into my classroom and progressively we're not using the textbooks anymore. Where I ask students to look up something, they can immediately Google it and find out a lot more information than a textbook could ever provide. That textbook only provides a limited amount of material from a limited author. And seeing research being done where students are gaining knowledge from all kinds of aspects, and seeing research done right now, instead of a textbook that may be way outdated, we're actually gaining information from so many different resources across the globe. Number 3, that teachers have more freedom to give personalized instruction. This is one of the things that we really had to face, and we're still really dealing with, is that over a third of our school is in the special education program. That means that they have to have a one-to-one person that sits down with them during the week to help them make sure they have everything laid out that they need to have laid out and do everything that they need to do. Now, this has impacted our education because we are not rising to the occasion of some of these students. And with the one-to-one integration, what it has given us the freedom to do is have students give them an assignment, and where the upper level students are working on their assignment and don't need as much assistance, that allows teachers to be able to sit down with those students that need that extra help and sit down and actually give them that one-on-one advice that they need and that one-on-one assistance. And the last thing is to provide differentiated instruction for every student. Now, this is a big thing that educators have talked about for years. Differentiated instruction, saying that students learn in different aspects, and students learn, some are auditory learners, some are visual learners, some are kinesthetic learners, and we were trying to morph every lesson to where we could use that for every student and have every student involved and meet their learning needs. And we really weren't doing it, and we really haven't been doing it. What the one-to-one integration has given us is a way for teachers to be able to differentiate their instruction so they can put out assignments where students can watch things. They can watch things, they can listen to auditory things, they can actually do different models and different things on the computer. So it gives them, everybody with differentiated instruction, and all of those different learning styles, it meets their needs and it helps each and every student. Because in the past, we taught to one level of students and we've left some out. And that's the big gap that we're trying to fill with technology, is making sure everyone is included. But then I had some teachers come up and say, well, what about collaboration? Is this going to make collaboration extinct? I would say no. But here's the thing, Red Bank High School, the past 3 years, we have pushed PBLs, where we're requiring students, we're giving them a question, and we're trying to have them work in teams to be able to find a solution to that question. And then they will then present that solution to outside entities that will come in, and they will present that and say, this is our solution to a real world problem. Now, that has changed the way our students are learning, and it's challenging them to get outside of their box. And this is collaboration as a whole, and this is majorly impacting how students work together. And teachers were saying, wait a minute, you want us to do this, but now you want us to include the computer? How do I do that? How do I include the computer and do this other thing that you're asking me to do? Well, what it's allowed us to do is, with this technology, there's different apps and FaceTime and Skype and all of these different things that they have on their computer or their phones, where they can actually work together as a team from wherever they're at, and actually can watch each other and can collaborate at the same time on a project on the computer. So some of the benefits of technology in the classroom. First off, again, differentiated learning. Meeting the student where they're at. We've taught to the upper echelon of students, and so many years we've said we're going to shoot for these amount of students, and the students on the bottom, we're not actually helping them rise to the occasion. We're saying, well, if we teach to the upper kids, maybe the lower kids will rise. But what that has actually done is made graduation rates plummet. In Red Bank High School, we have seen our graduation rates go down every single year. And something has got to change. That's why we are implementing some new things with this one-to-one integration to try to see students that are the lower ones rise up and help them get to that point, so then we can all be on the same page. Also, Google Classroom. We have tried Edmodo in the past, and now we're going to Google Classroom. And Google Classroom is basically helping us put lessons online, so students can go and do these lessons at home, and they access them. But when they submit them actually on there, on Google Classroom, and it puts them in a folder. The teacher can then grade it, and it keeps a portfolio for them for all of their classes throughout school. So when they graduate, they have classes to go back to, and they can actually look in each of those folders of things that they've done throughout their whole entire schooling. And then Google Drive. Google Drive has changed the way we do a lot of collaboration, because students can put a presentation together, they can put a Word document together, or any of these they can put different projects together, and they can actually work on them at the same time, or they can share it with a teacher who can then go in and add comments. And those teachers can add comments and tell the student what needs to be corrected, and they can work on it in live time from wherever they're at. This opens up the door for teachers and students to work together in a more fluid manner than just in the classroom. And then many other apps that are out there. We have tried many different apps on the Google Chromebook that have worked, and different teachers have different apps that they like to use specifically, and then we have some that we use as a school. That's part of our professional learning community as a school, is working to figure out new ways to use the technology in the classroom. But through all of this, we have had many struggles. There's been a lot of struggles with technology in the classroom, and the first one is we're dealing with teachers trying to get them to actually understand the technology and how to use it. Now, this has been a major struggle that we've had to deal with, and we've had about 15 teachers every single year that have left and are not coming back to the school because they just don't want to teach with technology, and they just don't want to blend the technology with their lessons that they've had in the past. Because also it changes their classroom setup. It changes everything. The way that they have to put assignments online daily instead of handing out those worksheets that they've handed out for years. That's the thing that we've got to move away from, is giving these students worksheets and just making sure they can regurgitate the knowledge that we have given them. And as well, we've got to change up the actual setup of our classroom. Our actual setup of our classroom, where our students, and what I've done in my classroom is turn the desk and actually taught from the back of the class so I can see their screens and see what they're on. That's one of the big issues that teachers came up to me at the beginning of this whole thing and said. They were like, how do I monitor students? That's why I've always told them to put their cell phones up, and now we're giving them more technology. What do you want me to do? That's the one thing that we've had to address, is how teachers actually teach. They actually teach from the back of the room now, so they can monitor students. Well, one thing that we're going to try this year is we're going to actually pay for an app that's going to be on each student's devices. And it's going to be on a teacher's device, so the teacher can actually monitor every student's screen from a particular screen at their desk. So then they will not necessarily have to teach from the back of the classroom anymore. So we're going to try that in some classes to see how that works this year. And see if that will actually motivate student learning. Distractions. So I've had teachers come up and say, well, little Johnny's been on his cell phone in the back of the room, or every time I walk to the back of the room, he's clicking off of Facebook. What do? Well, that's one thing that we have not addressed in teaching is when we implemented technology and not teaching them how to properly use it. That's one thing that teachers actually have to face, is looking at the technology and saying, we've got to actually teach these kids how to use it and how to use it appropriately. Kids have not known how to do that. We assume that they know how to use technology because they've grown up with it, but so many times that's how they end up getting in trouble, is because they've posted something that's out there forever, or they don't understand that when they post something online, even if it gets deleted, it's still out there. They don't understand the safety and the privacy that a webcam can provide, that you can actually click on that and people can actually see you and you can see them, and the actual security breach that can happen there. And we haven't taught them about this. And that's one thing that we have to face with the one-to-one technology, and we're still facing, and I believe that's going to be a struggle that we're always going to face, is teaching students how to properly use their technology in the classroom. And the last thing is the power struggle. There is a power struggle. So I have teachers come up to me and say, well, I don't understand technology, so I don't want my students to use it because I don't want them to know more than I do. And that's okay, that's understandable. You don't want your students to know more than you do. But that's also the problem. Our education is not moving forward like it is supposed to, is because teachers don't want to say, I don't know everything, I need help. That's what we need to begin saying is, I don't know everything, I need help. And when teachers begin to do that, they begin to work as a professional learning community to try to figure out how they can actually become better at their profession and become better at what they're doing. They work together to solve problems, and that's what we've had to do at Red Bank, is we've had to come together as teachers and say, okay, I'm having this issue in my classroom. Does anybody have any advice for me? And we've come together and helped each other become better teachers and better educators to help our students. But we've got to give up that power struggle. So being the technology person at Red Bank, I get calls all day about technology going bad. I've had teachers will call me and say, hey, my computer's messed up, can you come look at it? And my immediate response will always be, no, I can't come look at it right now, but ask one of your students. And almost every time I'll get laughed at. They don't want to admit that students know more about the technology than they do, and they don't want to ask for help. There's that power struggle going on, and teachers don't want to allow the students to help them. One thing that I've done at Red Bank that has helped with this is I've integrated what I call the Chrome Squad. It's a group of kids that I have picked out throughout the school that are a little more tech savvy, and I've taught them a few things that they may not have known, and I've learned more from them than they've learned from me. But what I've used them to do is help educate teachers on technology usage in the classroom. And they go in and they will fix technology for teachers, but every time I send them to fix something, I say, don't just fix it, show them what you did. So they will understand and they will be empowered to try it the next time. They've also taught teaching sessions where they have taken a group of teachers and taught them about new things to do with the Chromebook, how to put them into effect in the classroom, new apps they can use. And they've taught them all these things, and not only does that help the teachers overcome some of that power struggle, but it also empowers the students and tells them that they are a necessary part in this integration, that they are a necessary part in this one-to-one integration, and we need their help. And the last thing that we're doing at Red Bank that is trying to help pull all this together is this year we're creating a community school. Because the last issue that we've really been struggling with is students came up to us and said, well, I can't do my homework because I don't have internet access at home. And that was a big struggle because as teachers, we understand, we don't understand sometimes some of that struggle. And dealing with a school that is over 80% poverty, we had to be able to look at that and say, okay, well, these kids might not be able to afford it. What can we do? So we reached out to several internet providers in town and we said, okay, this is our issue. What can you do to help us? One of the internet providers got back to us and said, okay, we will provide every family in your school internet for $10 a month. I would like internet for $10 a month. My bill is a whole lot higher than that. And so that helped majority of our students. But we still had some that said, well, I still can't afford that. What can you do for me? And our original response was, well, go to a library or go to McDonald's or go somewhere that has internet and use their internet to do your homework. But is that really what we need to be doing? Is that really, we're asking students to go way out of their way to do education, and what we found is a lot of students that were having to do that would not do their homework, and they would be the ones that would end up being the dropouts. They would end up dropping out of high school, and they would be the ones that that took the graduation rate down. And what we were doing was really just taking those that were already at a disadvantage and saying, sorry, and not helping them not helping them rise and helping them grow. So what we've done is we've implemented a community school. What this community school is going to do is keep the building open until 9 p.m. every single day. And so what this is going to allow is for students to come into the building and use the internet access. Teachers and administrators will be there from time to time to help on homework, to help on projects. And this will allow those students to be able to get their work done and be able to have help and assistance. What we've also are going to implement with the community school, we are hoping to actually offer GED classes and language classes for people that do not know English or people that want to learn another language. We are trying to open that door for that to happen. We're going to offer ACT prep classes. We're going to ask community members to come in and say, we've got a group of students that want to go to medical school one day. Would you come talk to them about what being a doctor is like or what being a lawyer is like? And come in and tell kids what job professions are like and what they need to do right now to be able to prepare themselves for that next step. We're also going to ask colleges to come in and begin talking to students different aspects that they need to get ready for college and talking about what they need to do now for ACT or for getting ready for their classes and how it's actually going to be different than high school. This community school is going to open up so many more opportunities for students. And the last thing that we're going to offer through this that we've done the past few years is a technology class. That students were going to be able to come in with a parent and actually sit through a training where they teach them for 8 weeks about how to use technology effectively, and at the end they're going to be able to purchase a Chromebook for $50. And that would be a Chromebook that they get to keep at their home. So through all of this, I say that technology can transform a classroom and it can transform a student's learning. It can take that student's learning from being inside of a classroom to actually taking it to outside of the classroom and using that as a tool for success. Our ultimate goal is to see students succeed at the highest level possible and see students be prepared for college or for a workforce. And we've got to be able to prepare them for that. Thank you for your time this evening. Again, my name is Chad Lee, and this is How Technology Can Transform a Classroom.